What up, everyone? Crypto Marxist, aka Bone Army, coming at you. If you like the Shiba Inu ecosystem, the Shibarium partnerships, you're in the right place. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through a couple things. This particular video is not so exciting, but it is actually one of the more important videos, and it ties into bad idea. It ties into the Shiba Inu ecosystem, and it ties into what a metaverse could potentially do. So, who's doing this? If you know about centralized exchanges, Huobi is one of the biggest ones. So let's go ahead and see how this even got to my interest. It was actually a post by Mr. Lightspeed. So let's go ahead and check out Mr. Lightspeed. As I have told you guys before, Mr. Lightspeed is the unofficial official spokesman for Bad Idea, which is a partner with Shibarium. It's an AI project focused on decentralization. So with that said, let's see what it says. So Mr. Lightspeed, aka Christopher C.J. Johnson, PhD. I noted that the article mentioned Huobi's rebranding as part of a metaverse Freeport to be hashtag HTX. Let that concept sink in for a moment and consider this key question. How can a metaverse help onboard the next billion people to achieve financial freedom? The answer, to me anyway, is it can't. A metaverse actually serves as a barrier to entry to billions of people. This rebranding is a bold move and smart. So he's saying that actually he doesn't agree with it because he's saying to him the answer is it can't, and it actually serves as a barrier. So there's two things here. It depends what type of metaverse we're talking about. So they're talking about a Freeport metaverse. There's closed metaverses and there's open metaverses. Really, the metaverse, as it will be known, you're not gonna need big goggles. All the it's gonna be like just Web three. Web three is gonna be part of a metaverse, meta universe, meta world that we're in. So, including the digitized video game type versions, right? Those independent worlds. So, let's go ahead and just see who Huobi is. So, Huobi's Twitter, they're 1.5 million followers, okay? So, definitely a big dog in the space. So, let's go ahead and so that's their Twitter. Let's see what Forbes magazine says about them, okay? So it says founded in 2013 in China, Huobi caters towards intermediate and advanced traders. Aside from offering spot markets for 200 plus assets, the firm also provides derivatives, margin services, and OTC desk and prime brokerage. It has faced accusations of whitewash trading. It closed all China business in 2021 and now runs its operations out of Singapore. It is regulated in Japan, Gibraltar, and Luxembourg. Okay. So that's just a little something. So this is the actual article. I'm going to get through the article and then we're going to see a TED talk that actually expands the concept of the metaverse. Don't forget, these brands like Nike, like Starbucks, like Marvel, are themselves investing in getting lands, and they themselves will eventually probably have metaverses of their own. Nike itself actually invested in Artifact, digital NFT kicks that you can print. So I mean, it's in the metaverse is inevitable, and that's probably the key thing I want you to take from this. So, Huobi rebrands to HTX, unveils global expansion roadmap. Dear users, as the world's leading virtual assets exchange, Huobi launches a refreshed branding strategy on September 13, 2023, where Huobi, quote unquote, will be rebranded as HTX, our new global brand. HTX, a new global brand. H stands for Huobi. T represents TRON, with a commitment to being all in TRON, and X stands for the exchange. Looking at HTX through the combination of H2 and X, HT represents the native token of the platform, while X symbolizes exchange. Hence, XTX is an exchange with its native token of HT. On the other hand, X is the Roman numeral for 10, which pays tribute to HTX's 10th anniversary. It is a new era for the platform with synergy between HTX, TRON, and Poloniex. There is also a new brand slogan, also a brand new slogan, HTX, just traded. So they're basically kind of hopping on the Nike brand. Let's see if they get sued on that. Uh, New mission and new era. This is what I want you guys to know. HTX's new mission is to build a metaverse free port with a vision to achieve financial freedom for 8 billion people on Earth. HTX is embarking on a growth strategy of global expansion, thriving ecosystem, wealth effect, and security and compliance. So let me read that again. HTX's new mission is to build a metaverse free port with a vision to achieve financial freedom for 8 billion people on Earth. That's a big sentence. HTX is embarking on a growth strategy of, quote, global expansion, thriving ecosystem, wealth effect, and security and compliance, end quote. HTX plans to expand business globally by venturing into new markets with promising prospects across various countries and regions while maintaining a balanced growth. HTX aims to keep ahead of the latest developments in the crypto market with a primary focus on growth and profitability. HTX is providing users worldwide with professional services and a diverse product lineup, including PrimeVote, FlexiMax, SharkFin, and more. HTX will also strategically partner with public chains like TRON, cross-chain protocols like the BitTorrent chain, as well as stable projects such as TrueUSD. HTX will continue to expand partnerships with different projects, public chains, stablecoins, and foster a multi-dimensional business ecosystem through collaborative efforts. HTX selects premium new assets worldwide by focusing on quality and timelines. We wishes to empower the, I think that's a typo, to empower the community to choose which assets they want to list. After the rebranding, HTX listing strategy will start a new phase by expanding its ecosystem with new assets listings. We will select premium and popular assets from around the world by introducing all-star projects that come with volume, popularity, and new trends. Additionally, HTX will deepen collaborations with mainstream ecosystems, read Shibarium, including but not limited to public chain, layer 2, and meme coins. So layer 2, obviously, um, you have Shibarium. Meme coins, you got a bunch of coins, including bad idea. So at the same time, we will continue to enhance core products such as Prime Vote and Prime Pool. And we'll do whatever it takes to empower the community to decide which assets to list. So first things first, how can we get listed on there as the Bad Brigade, as all additional armies that we are? HTX is also striving to promote the sustainable growth of decentralization by reducing the risk of centralized crypto trading for users and enhancing its efforts on asset security. We will globally distribute user assets through a decentralized custody system with 24/7 customer service. This will ensure the platform stays operational in the event of policy changes in any single country or region. HTX will also provide regular updates of Merkle Tree based proof of reserves and establish risk reserves and liquidity funds. HTX September 13, 2023. So this is interesting because they said that they want to reduce risk of centralized crypto trading for users and enhance its efforts on asset security. So they will globally distribute user assets through a decentralized custody system. That's kind of interesting. All right, cool. So that's one thing. Now let's go ahead and go to technologist Yatsui.
Participants, either singly or in groups, formed complex systems that very much resembled the workings of modern capitalist societies. I saw a place last year that generated over $30 billion of economic activity and had treasuries maintained by those same communities to the tune of $12 billion.
Okay, so what he's talking about here is the total metaverse economy, okay, is at least $12 billion. Okay, so if you think about that, that's bigger than some countries. Okay, so as a whole, and also getting anyone in on any platform, any blockchain, any metaverse, really because of interoperability, one getting into one metaverse is really getting into every metaverse that you want to get into, okay, through bridging. So that's the importance of bridging. That's the importance of having wrapped bone. That's the importance of interoperability. Okay, so let's continue.
Now let's put that a little bit in context. The metaverse has reserves just below that of the fiscal reserves of New Zealand and greater economic activity than the GDP of Cyprus, Iceland, and 100 other countries. The metaverse seems to be doing okay. But this may not be quite the metaverse that you're thinking of. You might be thinking of the metaverse as this 3D virtual reality immersive space with additional sensory stimulation. No, what I'm talking about is the open metaverse.
See, and that's the thing. He's talking about the open metaverse. Well, they're talking about Freeport metaverse. So there's differences in these metaverses. But for example, when you're looking at Wellies, the Web3 restaurant, in a way, that is the beginning of a hybridization, if you will, of a meta world beginning.
Powered by Web3 and blockchain. The treasuries that I'm referring to are the treasuries of DAOs. 12.
So it's like trying to separate reality from the internet, right? Like it's all around you. Okay, that's basically
$1 billion
what's going on.
within
Here, let me go ahead and well, this is the point.
Control of its communities without any central authority. The banking system underlying the open metaverse is DeFi. You might have heard of decentralized finance before, but you may not have known that it is part and parcel of the open metaverse. All of this open metaverse is powered by blockchain and comprises part of what we describe as Web3.
And this is kind of the difference between what we have before, all this type of data, which is data is copied and owned by these other companies, as opposed to Web3, where the ownership is transferred to the people that produce the data. So something that's extremely important that he says here is data is the new labor. And that is actually extremely deep if you start to really think about it. So how important is it? Well, you can talk about the most obvious one, which is the cryptocurrency, right? But what about shares? The tokenization of shares and options. What about copyrights? Okay, the transfer of copyrights, the transfer of patents, tangible assets, the realization of getting let's say a car deed or mortgage deed, as a real estate, okay, goods, okay, the proof of it, obligations such as contracts. And the thing about enforcing contracts in Web3, it can be done permissionless. So that's important. It cuts out the middleman, which means it's cheaper and more reliable because you know exactly what you're doing. So pledges, I have actually not even no idea what that is. So that's another thing too. But a pledge could be like something like in a certain amount of time, we will donate this amount of, whatever. And since it's a time lock, for example, it could be done.
We firmly believe will be the future iteration of the internet, which is currently still mostly in the Web 2 stage. To access the open metaverse, you don't need fancy VR goggles. You just need plain old boring 2D screens, and you can enter a rich, thriving universe of
and that's
in the
important.
Web 2 stage.
How do you enter it?
To access the open metaverse, you don't need fancy VR goggles. You just need plain old boring 2D screens, and you can enter a rich, thriving universe of capitalist economic societies that have virtual worlds, businesses, enterprises, experiences with millions of digital citizens.
And the thing about that is we know that because these Web3 games, okay, you don't need goggles to play these play to earn games, okay? Because a lot of times I know we think about we need these, an Oculus and or all kinds of devices. Really, the metaverse should be user friendly, and the most user friendly would be to be accessible through a mobile device. Now, another thing too, though, is if you have a a mobile device, that could be the most basic entry level, for example, where if you want more of a sensory overload or a different experience, you can get that Oculus or get whatever. I'm using Oculus as an example, but whatever Shiba Inu branded or whatever headpiece, you know what I mean?
Our lives already have a very strong virtual component. In Asia, where I live,
Let me swing over
we spend
here to
over
this
9
part right
hours
here, 'cause this is
purchasing
what I
things
wanna say.
because of what it means to us.
And the point that he makes here, though, is I don't want to make this longer than it is, but it's really important for us to understand what we're talking about when we're talking about the metaverse. And the importance of people going into the metaverse. They're not going to go into the metaverse because of utility. Now, utility, once it's 100% developed, could onboard people whether they want to or not. In fact, that might be the biggest form of onboarding people when you have an undeniable type of utility. Now, besides that, it's a lot of times cultural, it's a lot of times community driven, it's a lot of times just individual, and an individual wants to be a part of XYZ token or project. So there's different forms of that. So what he's talking about here is about people don't buy a Birkin bag to put stuff in it, or so here it is.
Self-expression, ownership of these things, such as fashion, jewelry, and yes, even NFTs. A lot of people struggle with Web3 and NFTs because they see the prices at the higher end of things. They look at this Bored Ape and say, how can this be more valuable than this Birkin bag, which is an actual real item? But people don't buy this Birkin bag because they want to put stuff in it. 99% of its value is entirely virtual network effects, upheld by the community of Birkin bag lovers who find them desirable and valuable. Its utility is a very distant second.
And that is actually so key. So, and that's one thing that we've seen in some of these projects. They can have there's projects out there that have extreme utility out there. And sometimes they go nowhere, or they're just stagnant sideways. And then all of a sudden you have, let's say, funny dog Inu, or the latest ones, the Harry Potter, whatever, and they start mooning, right? With absolutely no real utility other than being risky stores of value at that time, right? Because you know how it is. So,
and this is perhaps true for almost everything that we purchase in the real world. Owning the story, owning a part of the culture, being a part of the community that forms part of our identity is why we buy things.
And sorry to keep interrupting it, but because he has a lot to say. But another thing too, though, crypto is the quickest way for people to get into an ownership society, though. And that's another thing too that must be said.
The same is true for the open metaverse. Ownership, identity, culture, and community are far more important considerations for most of us.
Self-sovereign identity is coming.
And if this still feels far-fetched to you, consider this. Last year, the video game industry generated over $100 billion of sales in virtual goods. And the fun fact is that all of the things that they purchased were predominantly cosmetic and whimsical in nature. Skins, trinkets, decorative items, things that make your virtual identities shine. Just ask your kids what they want for.
So here, let me talk about the AI situation real quick.
Can now also become an owner. This, to me, is what tokenization and Web3 is all about. That is the meaning of the open metaverse. Tokenization is perhaps also the best way in which you can protect our digital intellectual property rights. When Getty Images sued the creators of Stable Diffusion, they did so because they could tell that they were using their images to train their AI models. But they could only do so because Stable Diffusion was sloppy. They could see the Getty Images watermark all over the generated images.
That's funny.
Most of us won't be so lucky. Blockchain can help solve the provenance of our digital property and lay the foundation of protecting our rights.
Yes.
In the US, that enjoy strong property rights, have very high GDPs, high wealth, strong entrepreneurial and capitalist activities, compared to those countries that have very low property rights, that tend to have low GDPs and also tend to be the poorest in the world. Generated over $24 billion of sales. The majority of that went to the creators and owners of these NFTs. Web2 platforms, such as Spotify, paid only a third of that to its creators in that same year.
All right, so you guys get the point, though. So, the point is that we are so early right now in any of these projects, especially the metaverse projects, because people haven't even started to build in the metaverse. How much money is going to go into, because you know how it is. People are going to be trying to they're going to keep up with the Joneses. So if someone's going to have a house, and someone's going to want a bigger house, then someone's going to want a big, then who has the biggest house in the metaverse? I mean, trust me, you know how it is. My house has two plots of land. Okay, now someone wants 10 acres of land or whatever it is. It's just, and how much to build that. Every time you put a picture up, it's going to use Sheeb. I don't know if it's going to instantly burn the Sheeb. I forgot, but I think it is giving Sheeb an additional utility in the metaverse. Because don't forget, the most important part of Shiba Inu, it's a metaverse project. So there you have it, guys. So you have Mr. Lightspeed telling us about this metaverse free port. Okay. And so I went ahead and delved into it. We saw that HTX did already rebrand. It is, according to, or at the time of the Forbes article, the biggest in the world. And actually, that's what they said here at the very beginning of the article as well. They say, "Dear users, as the world's leading virtual assets exchange." So they're saying they're the world's leading. I don't know exactly what that leading means, but it does give us a little uh, more insight into what some of these projects are doing, these centralized exchanges, and how these public, okay, they're not going to be limited to just the public blockchains. They're going to be dealing with layer twos and meme coins. So I don't know if Mr. Lightspeed has already reached out to him, because the Bad Brigade. If you haven't or have, I have no idea, but go ahead, Bad Brigaders, shoot him that info. Ask him if he's already reached out to HTX on the meme coins situation to see if we can be listed on there. Okay, so with that said, I go by Crypto Marxist, aka Bone Army. Just came at you, and like I like to say, I'm Bone Army, you're Bone Army, we are Bone Army. If you got any value from this, go ahead and hit that sub, hit that like, leave a comment, ring that bell, and of course, go ahead and check out any content up there and hit that sub. So appreciate y'all, and I'll be going live later on at 9. So peace.